let's break down here this West region and the number 1 seed here, Gonzaga. I have no issues with Gonzaga here at number 1. I'm glad to see them be rewarded for the season that they had. They did as best as they could outside of their conference schedule. Everyone criticizes the depth of that West Coast Conference, and we understand there's basically Gonzaga and St. Mary's and BYU that are the big threats out of that conference. And they went out and they played teams. They played the likes of Arizona and Florida, and they beat those teams. So not everybody is willing to sign up for dates with Gonzaga, and so they can only play who's going to agree to play with them. I'm glad that they got the number 1 seed over a Pac-12 team, if that's what it came down to.
I agree. They're going to play that 2 p.m. game on Thursday versus South Dakota State, and Gonzaga only had 1 loss this season to BYU. You're right, they didn't have the toughest schedule, but from what they had in front of them, they did a really good job with it. By the way, the last time Gonzaga was a top seed was in 2013, and they only made it to the 2nd round. They were a 2nd seed or a 2 seed in 2015 and 2004. They made it to the Elite 8 and to the 2nd round in those 2 years. So it hasn't necessarily bode that well for them to be a top seed.
Right.
But this year, it's obviously they're a different team.
They're deserving.
They're pretty dominant so far.
They were number 1 in the polls for much of the year. The second half of the year, they were number 1 in the Ken Pom ratings, as well as the Sagarin ratings. So the advanced metrics all favored the Gonzaga Bulldogs to be a number 1 seed, and they are. And so they will play a South Dakota State team that, by the way, while the record is 18-16, they do have one of the top scorers in the country, and a fellow by the name of Mike Daum. He was 2nd in scoring at 25.4, and he also had at one point a season-high 51-point game. So they need to contain him, but I don't expect Gonzaga to have many issues there and moving on to face the winner of the Northwestern Vanderbilt game.
By the way, Gonzaga opened 80-1 odds to win the tournament. They're now 10-1. So huge swing there in Vegas.
Man, if you had them way back at 80-1.
Well, think about it. UCLA opened 80-1, and now they're 12-1.
Wow.
So
tremendous.
Yeah, pretty interesting,
Tremendous
these swings that these teams have had.
All right, let's move on here to the number 2 seed. A lot of people thought that maybe Arizona would be in line for the number 1 seed there. The Wildcats, winners of the Pac-12 Conference Championship, the Conference of Champions, Bill Walton would say. I love this team. I really do believe that this team actually will emerge through this region and come out and go to Glendale, Arizona. And how great would that be for Arizona to play in Arizona for a national championship or a shot at a national championship. Gonzaga and Arizona played earlier this season at the Staples Center. 69-62, I believe, was the final score in favor of the Bulldogs. But I think if they were to match up again here in this region, in San Jose, that the edge would go to Arizona. They're a better team than they were back then. I think they have Alonzo Trier. That's the key. They have him back. And I just like the makeup of this team plus Sean Miller.
Yeah, and the fact that Sean Miller leads this team is what leads me to believe that they're going to go ahead and go pretty far. A 15 seed didn't upset a 2 seed between 2002 and 2011, but it's happened 4 times in the last 5 tournaments. So watch out those 2 seeds for those 15 seeds. Duke, Louisville, Kentucky, and Arizona, those 2 seeds. So it should be pretty interesting, 2 versus 15.